Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Matt, Christy, I'm Alonso. I'm filling in for Ben Mankiewicz in that I did not see a movie this week. That movie being Like Me, but Christy will explain it.
It's only 80 minutes long.
Yeah, 80 minutes I didn't have, I'm sorry.
And you probably won't find them now after our conversation about it, but maybe you'll be curious, who knows. So Addison Timlin stars as a young woman named Kaya. She's probably in her 20s. When we first see her, she is wearing a hoodie and a mask, and she robs a convenience store. The clerk, she robs at gunpoint. He pees all over himself, and she videotapes it, and it goes viral. And we learn that this is who she is. She pulls these crazy stunts in order to have videos that go viral and connect with people. And that sounds pretty straightforward, but this movie actually goes into crazy, nutty places. Please take a look.
Turn that off. You're not being safe.
So yeah, this is pretty intense from the very beginning, right? And then it just kind of dies. Like there's a great verve to it and it's colorful. There's this like nutty kind of stream of consciousness sequence of images of like stuff that she has shot.
Yeah.
And it's her like cramming sour gummy worms in her mouth and cereal and just like yucky crap, and like it's almost seizure inducing. It's so like fast paced, but there's a verve to it and there's like a candy colored kind of intense brightness to it. And a lot of the interiors are designed in very creative ways. She goes to various motels, and it's like this alternate universe where everything is like really artful and cool and strange. And then when she hooks up with the motel manager, played by longtime indie guy Larry Fessenden, it just dies. Like whatever energy it had, whatever kind of bizarre verve it had, which is hard to watch and yet you can't turn away, like that kind of goes away all of a sudden. I don't know, what did you think?
I found this movie, so the first 20 minutes of this movie, like the robbery, is this great example of short form tension. Like it really, I mean, we talked about the other movie that we talked about today, Fantastic Woman, having a little bit of Hitchcock to it. That opening scene in this one definitely does.
How so?
In that, you know, it comes in and the guy's kind of joking around, and then it kind of just turns into like there's this fear, and it's just like you don't know what to expect, right?
It subtly changes.
It subtly changes, and there's a level of suspense, and you kind of have no idea what's going to happen. And I found that to be really interesting and terrifying. And the movie kind of goes completely in a different direction. It made me think a little bit of some of the stuff that I have trouble watching a David Lynch film do, where it's, you know, there's some interesting things exploring, and then it's like, oh, but I'm gonna hit you with this imagery that is, you know, maybe supposed to evoke a response of some sort, and that usually doesn't work for me. I felt like some of the imagery that you hit early on, actually you end up seeing where it comes from later in the film. But it's like it can't decide if it wants to be this almost a psychological thriller exploring someone who is obsessed with trying to get more likes, so to speak, versus this kind of almost art. Like there's almost a point at which Kaya and Marshall connect around their art, right? And but the movie doesn't really explore that all that well, and it humanizes Marshall in a way that you don't quite expect, but without humanizing Kaya.
Right.
And that, I think, made it hard to kind of deliver on. And then I think I saw the end coming a mile away, and it was kind of satisfying, but I think it didn't fit the movie that you end up getting in the second and third act.
It slows down. There's a great energy to it, and you're right. Like we learn a lot about him. He makes himself very vulnerable to her in ways that are very uncomfortable, and true. But she remains a cipher the whole way through. Like, why is she like this? And where does she get income from? Like, it's not from her YouTube stunts. And then there's a whole other subplot with some guy who has been calling her out with videos in response to her crazy videos, and that makes her paranoid. And I guess that exists in the real world, but I don't know. So
Robert, or if not paranoid, at least like antagonized.
Yeah. And Robert Mockler wrote and directed this. I just don't know what he's trying to say about social media, about how people communicate with each other and connect with each other or not. You know, it's called Like Me, but I really think it's like me. I don't think it's like me. I think it's like me. Like this is the only way she knows how to connect with people. But why is she like that? You know, and she's got a striking presence about her, and she's clearly, as in Timlin's, clearly willing to go to very strange and dark and daring places. It's a very physical, challenging role because she pulls off some crazy stuff. But I just don't know to what end.
And I think that maybe what the writer-director is trying to do is show that, you know, you've got this, I mean, if I were to probably wildly oversimplify, but you've got this younger character who seems to be really motivated by connecting in an online environment, and that's where her validation comes from. And she grabs this older guy to use him as a prop, so to speak, in her, call it art, in her search for validation. And it turns out he's a real person and is vulnerable to her, and she still can't connect with it because she's so focused on trying to get this external validation that is right in front of her, but she can't see, and then ends up, well, the only thing she knows how to do is go and find somebody else who does that. And kind of resolve it. And that's, I guess, what it is. Like, like if you're getting too focused on one, you can't have the other, but I don't know that it executes it all that well.
Yeah, other movies.
How does it compare to Ingrid Goes West?
You actually just took the words right out of my mouth.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's a very good segue, because I was gonna say other movies explore this idea of social media, connecting through social media, and what that means in terms of real world connections. That does it much more intelligently and much more thoroughly and much more thoughtfully, with an actual bite to it and an actual point to it. And I was trying to think, what is that movie where people have to do those crazy challenges that they see online and all the people
Nerve.
like it? Yeah, even that, which kind of falls apart at the end, it gets really crazy at the end. That at least has a more of a connectedness to it, to the real world, and it has a point, it seems, as far as looking at the potential detriments of living your life online, you know? And this, I don't know that this has a point beyond just exploring that she's got a video camera and she's willing to go to weird places with it.
Also, at that age, doing what she's doing, who's got an old handheld VHS camera?
Oh, wow.
Why does she have the car she has?
When you said videotapes at the beginning, I was like, oh, way to keep current, Grandma. She's literally videotaping?
No, in the beginning she has an iPhone. No, in the beginning she has an iPhone.
Right, but then she's shooting with like the actual camera with the the self-contained VHS camcorder.
But how does she have any number of things she has? How does she have like a hammock in a motel room?
Those YouTube influencers make a lot of money.
I guess. I'm not even sure she means to be an influencer so much as a provocateur. You know, but I don't know that she even makes money off of that. Like, who is this person?
I don't know.
And that's a big problem here.
The thing that kept taking me out of the film was there's these moments where it's like, okay, and now here's 2 or 3 minutes of experimental film exploration.
Wait. It's like, her head's
like
like
the scene where they're driving around, you know, where he's bleeding the plank.
And there's hallucinatory stuff going on. And why? And like, again, it's visually inventive sometimes.
Sometimes.
Anyway,
it's kind of interesting.
Kinda. I'm saying 5. I'd like to like you, like me, but I'm giving it a 5. I'm kind of mixed on it.
The title worked on me. I give it a 6.
All right, so we're saying 5.5. It's at 77% on the tomato meter. It came out last week, at least in LA. I know.
It's freaky and weird.
Yeah, if you want freaky and weird.
Is it streaming? Do we know?
I don't know. Maybe. We'll find out.
I texted you like 20 minutes into it. I'm like, this movie's fucked up.
I'm like, yeah, it is. Anyway, so if you want that, I don't think
at home watching the screen or not texting in the movie theater.
No, we would never do that. But I don't think you even need to be under the influence of anything.
I would actually argue you should not be.
I think some people will probably approach it in that manner, but I don't think you need to be. Or old people. Stay away from drugs. So enjoy.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Bye.